Remarketing, an audience we like to use a ton is the all CA, so all custom audience. So kind of all the warm audience we can create, think of kind of thing. So as far as we can go for all of them, so visitors past 6 months. Let's go over remarketing. So remarketing, an audience we like to use a ton is the all CA, so all custom audience. So kind of all the warm audience we can create, think of kind of thing. So as far as we can go for all of them, so visitors past 6 months, engagers, Facebook and Instagram, a year, followers, there's no date, it's just like the followers, all the email lists, so all the subscribers, even if you have a list of suppressed that you can upload legally, you could use that. Video viewers, so often we'll separate, you will have like in a separate ad set the video viewers, because that would be sometimes like the bigger audience and it's sometimes not super targeted, and it will kind of have it too much of a big percentage of the audience for this one. So for this one, often we'll try to separate it. It could be, you know, for video views, you could do like 3 seconds, I think 7 seconds or 15 seconds type of thing, or percentage, 25, 50, 75, 90, and 100, something like that. So if you include it in there, I'd probably go, you know, at least 75% watch, just so you have decent targeted people. So it's not like 80% video viewers and just 20% of the rest. That's kind of what we want to try to not use for these guys. So to create these, it's kind of the same thing as I was showing inside the lookalike audience. So for the website, anything you want to do here in terms of like all website visitors, that's already there, just 180 days. Then if we want to do followers, yeah, so whatever the page, but here you can have everyone who engaged. That would be all of the one who you know, click the call to action button, message, but that will be included. All of those will be included in this one. That's all of the engagers. That's a year old. We can go back, and if you want to do the followers, you could just like that one. This one doesn't have any dates. So that's same thing for Facebook and Instagram, very similar. Email list, then you can connect Klaviyo. It's an integration, or you can just upload. So if you want to upload, you could just go customer list and follow the steps right there. Meta always push to have like some value in there, or, you know, zip codes and phone numbers and whatnot. I think email just worked just fine for the match rate. So yeah, either email or both email and phone. That's what I would recommend. Per lead, if you're having a lead gen client that use lead form, that's a cool thing, that anyone that opened the form, or anyone that submitted the form, that could be good. And then if you have lead gen too, but it's on the web page, usually it will be lead. So this one we don't have the event, but if you have an active event, you have leads that you can select there. Yeah, and then video views. So for video views, right there, so that's kind of all the option you can have, 3, 10, 15, and then the different percentage. Let's say do, and then you can go back to a year for these two, and then you kind of have to select each one by one that have enough views, and kind of scroll through the pages. You can go up to a year, so it can be quite a long process, and you can update it, you know, for sometimes, but it's worth doing. And again, for these, I tend to separate it from these, so it's not, you know, all video views in your all warm audience. And then one that we see working really well, you know, each time there's a sale and whatnot, you know, these will usually be both the audience that work the best is the recent one. So really recent will be like engagers of past 3 days. So anyone that like, comment, follow, or click the button on the page and whatnot, on Instagram and Facebook. So they're just interacted with one of your ad past 7 days. So they visited the website in the past 7 days. So maybe they were in a rush, or they were waiting for payday or something like that. So past 7 days is good to keep the one that are that forgot to purchase or got distracted or say, oh, I'll purchase later because of X reason. And then these could be just together, but we like to often putting the people that added to cart and say check out in the past 30 days, exclude the purchases, of course, the past 30 days. And you can also share an abandoned checkout from Klaviyo past 30 days or something like that, or just recent subscribers of the past week would make sense too. Just something that recent usually works really well, because you get the low-hanging fruit and the people that just kind of were about to purchase but forgot for some reason. And sometimes we'll do hybrid too, especially if it's a small brand. Sometimes I'll put inside checkout and add to cart inside the recent, and even the buyers sometimes in there. So we have really like an hybrid of people that either purchased just recently or added to cart, and then just a recent one. So these usually work really well. But a large enough brand, I tend towards separating those two. So just have buyers by themselves. You sometimes want to talk differently to your own buyers, or have this special offers or special ads. So often it makes sense to separate them. And then what you can do too for remarketing is you can do product or collection specific. So again, you can select just the product ID of people that view a certain products, or collection URL, just a URL that someone that went on that collection. And you can also do some fancy stuff with the number of time they saw this product, or the time spent. We usually don't mess a lot with those, but it can be a good cool thing to explore, especially if there's enough data. That's a key part there. And then exclusion. So exclusion, if you want to go kind of stone cold, would be excluding all of our warm audience right there. So if you do have a prospecting audience or interest or lookalikes and whatnot, if you want to make sure to really go after people that don't know the brand, or you kind of have to exclude those. But one thing to keep in mind when you do that is sometimes you'll restrict the algorithm from making a purchase. So it tends toward excluding all of those when you're spending a lot, or you have high frequency, stuff like that, because often the algorithm should be smart enough to, even if it goes a little bit inside the warm audience for prospecting, I don't think it's a big deal. What matters is the results for the client. So yeah, that's kind of the idea here. If you want to go stone cold, either the brand is not growing new customers, or it's spending a ton, I would then go with excluding all the warm. Otherwise, you can exclude just the buyers, or not. Again, sometimes buyers will comment good things about their experience. That'll bring social proof. But sometimes it's cleaner, it looks better from a client side too if you exclude the buyers. So yeah, I put it or not here because sometimes it's good to keep it open, just so you get that feedback that if customers can comment, that can help quite a bit. So that's kind of what I have in terms of audiences. Is there any question or specific you'd like me to go over for the last few minutes? Leave it open to you guys.
The only thing that I would say, I should have jumped in earlier with this, but
sure.
For the ASC campaigns, kind of on topic of that, I just, for everybody's kind of, so everybody can get a sense of how we test. Typically, I find that when we're testing and we're trying to find a winning audience, it's not the best to have the ASC or the Advantage Plus option selected, because you don't necessarily know if Facebook is using your target audience or if it's stepping outside of your target audience. So you don't know if you did the right thing, or if the algorithm is making your choices seem better than what they actually are. So typically I'll test with like a 10% lookalike, like Jonathan was saying. And then once that produces good results, then I'll create a new campaign with the same audience and turn on the Advantage Plus for like scaling opportunities.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's a very good point to mention.
Yeah,
To start with.
it does work really well. It's just you don't know if you're doing the right thing or if Facebook's doing the right thing.
Correct. Yeah, and that tends toward starting without the Advantage Plus too, just for the reason you mentioned too, and also for the if it's a new brand or they don't have a ton of spend, you kind of want to just start with kind of limiting a little bit the algorithm, kind of give it direction, but not too much, and then go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess that brings up another good point that a lot of the times when a business comes to us, their algorithm has been trained to do something that's not necessarily of the benefit of the client because they're coming to us because results weren't great in the first place, which means that their previous agency was doing something wrong. A lot of the time they've trained their algorithm to go after a retargeting audience. That's what I'm finding a lot recently. And so they've been running this setup over the past year that's like 75% retargeting just because the agency wants to show the client good results on platform. And then we get handed this account and it's trained to do the opposite of what we want it to do. So that's just a total side note, but letting clients know that when they bring us an account that's in a bad standing, it's going to take a little bit longer for us to turn the ship around, basically.
Yep, that's a good point. Often too, I'll be trained to link clicks or engagement, or often they'll have like sort of personalities, or they have like patterns. So they're used to spending $50, but now they want to scale to $500 per day, and the account is kind of just the algorithm's not used to that, and that's when it will produce like kind of shaky results when you try to scale too fast. Yeah, they kind of have personalities, or based on data too. You can kind of see it from these three.
About 11 months ago, that's when I posted, I'm like, why I'm moving almost all my clients off PMAX. And then it's funny, it's like then like 9 months ago, that's what I was like, it's when we showed up PMAX switch to standard shopping. That was 9 months. I mean, almost on the same timeline as you were like, hey, this thing's starting to become less valuable. It's the same thing that I saw.